Mushroom Gorge, everybody's favorite track in Mario Kart Wii, and no doubt a masterpiece of level design. But in this modern day and age, how is the average player supposed to farm clips on such a simple course? Oh, you dodged a shock and took gap with a golden? In this economy? Yawn. But today, I'll show you one weird trick Lounge staff doesn't want you to know about. Star Gap, and how it's way easier than you probably think it is. First, a couple of notes. One, you can make Star Gap with or without a hop, but hopless is way easier, so that's the method I'll be explaining. The cut saves 2 to 2.5 seconds versus driving around, and if you want to learn it, I'd strongly suggest getting MKW-SP, which makes practicing it so much easier. Now, the gist of hopless Star Gap is actually pretty much the same as hopless Shroom Gap. You drift hard left, then last second switch to hard right. The only real difference is that after the TF input, you need to let go of drift in midair. As an aside, I think some people have thought that you need a mini turbo to make this, but the reality is that the release of drift alone gives you an extra bit of air, and whether or not you happen to have an MT charged makes no difference. I think the actual reason releasing drift works is for the same reason that you hold drift when drift tricking a ramp. Holding drift reduces air, so releasing drift increases it. In any case, now that you know the general overview, I'll give some more details on how I like to approach it. Starting at the cave exit, I like to land farther to the left as compared to if I had a shroom. And when I land, I try to give myself a left to right alignment like this. The reason I take this sort of line is because it gives me plenty of room to hold out my left drift and get the bike leaning as far as it'll go, which is crucial for making the most out of TF physics. There's a pretty big range where you can go over the edge and make it, but regardless of where I'm going off, I try to have my bike aiming a little left of perpendicular to the wall, so that I cross the gap in a reasonably short line. Besides that, it's also important to time your TF input correctly. Right when your front tire is about to go over the edge is when you should switch from left to right, and you also want to make that stick movement as quick as possible. Then finally, there's the drift release, which also has a timing component. As far as I've found, about 1/4 of a second after you do TF input is the ideal time to let go. And I don't know much of a visual cue for this, so I'd recommend just trying to get a feel for that rhythm of snap right, release drift. Once you get those timings locked in, this method is 100% consistent. I believe it also works on every inside drifting bike, and as a bonus, you can use it for a 100cc gap as well. One of the best ways to use this trick is by chaining Star at the last set on top path, which then lasts just long enough to make gap. If you happen to chain Bill on top path, it can actually save you if you realize you're not going to make it, as long as you wait until you're nearly across to use it. And with that, that's about everything there is to know about Star Gap. I hope you enjoy your new never-ending source of montage clips, and thanks for watching.